Well, the first day of Champions League football for this season wasn't spectacular. But Wednesday was incredible. 28 goals scored. Amazing. Let's jump right in, folks. This will be fun. I'm Adrian. Let's go. Our first group, Group A, saw the full debut of Eminem, Mbappe, Neymar, and Messi. They all started against Club Brugge. They looked to get things up and running, and they were greeted by a hostile crowd in Brugge. But it took PSG just 15 minutes to grab a goal, and while it wasn't any part of Eminem that scored, Mbappe did incredibly well to set it up. Turning his defender inside out, his ball into the box was begging to be hit goalward, and Ander Herrera, the free-scoring Ander Herrera apparently, converted his third goal in 2 matches after his brace this past weekend. Mbappe did go off injured later on. Their lead lasted just over 10 minutes, however, as this extremely talented Brugge side drew level via Hans Van Aken. Great work down the left from Lang and Sobel, and Van Aken has scored in 3 consecutive matches now for Club Brugge. Messi banged one off of the crossbar shortly after, denied of his first goal for his new club. PSG denied of an immediate response, but man, so much credit to Brugge and their supporters who never made it easy for PSG. Charles de Ketelaere is still looking great. 1-1 the final. Can't wait to see Buchanan in this team. I had to get it in there somewhere, man. Come on. And the other match in this group, an absolute goal fest. A true tribute to the saying, to the lifestyle, really, of no defending, just vibes. 9-goal thriller between Manchester City and RB Leipzig, as City's defense is struggling to find their form from last season once again, but the attack absolutely ripped Leipzig to shreds. 6-3 City, and it was a back-and-forth affair. After going 2-0 up, they traded goals back and forth, Leipzig managing to get it to the 4-3 in the 73rd minute and give some hope to themselves. But Cancelo and Gabriel Jesus killed that dream. They nearly had more as well, as Ferran Torres and Cancelo linked up for what would have been a sublime goal, but it was called back. City will absolutely have to improve on their defending, as this was one of those games where Pep will be thrilled with the attack, but the defense, I mean, that will give him some ungodly heartburn, I'm sure. Oh, and shout out to Jack Grealish for scoring on his Champions League debut. Liverpool versus AC Milan was one of the marquee matchups of the first match day of this Champions League competition, and it didn't take long for a goal to arrive. Trent Alexander-Arnold drove into the box well and saw his attempted squared ball take a healthy deflection off of Tomori and in after just 9 minutes, and it got better from there for Liverpool, as a few minutes later a Robertson strike came off of the hand of the defender, and from the spot Salah was denied. Saved by Maignan, and he saved the follow-up attempt from Jota as well. What a match at Anfield, man. It was rocking there as well. Great atmosphere and great action throughout. And with that missed opportunity, more life was breathed into Milan, and a well-worked goal ended with Rebic finishing to tie things up. Great work from Brahim Diaz, Salamakis, and Rafa Leão in the build-up to the goal. The Liverpool defense was just, I mean, they were chasing shadows out there on that play from the quick, incisive passing. 2 minutes later, and Diaz himself got a goal with yet another great attacking play from Milan to take a 2-1 lead into the break. Salah drew Liverpool level on the other side of the half. He was threatening to do so all night. Incredible assist from Origi. And Jordan Henderson, he doesn't score for fun, but he can certainly score a banger once a season or so. From the edge of the box in the 69th minute, Henderson made it 3-2. What a hit. What a match, really. 3-2 the final for Liverpool. Atletico Madrid versus FC Porto wasn't the most exciting match, but it certainly added some controversy. On a human level, putting biases aside, I could feel for Porto in some way. I mean, they feel like they were robbed, at least when it comes to the red. So it ended 0-0, right? But Porto had a goal called back as Taremi barely touched the ball with his hand as he was falling over. So that was enough to feel aggrieved, as a win away to Atletico would be massive. But technically, it was the right call, as you can't score with your hand, and so the play was dead before the ball went in, even though it was going in anyway, yes, but you cannot put the ball in with your hand, no matter how minuscule the touch, so that was very unlucky for Porto. Then, late in the match, Chancel Mbemba was given a red card for what was deemed to be a last man foul. I'm not sure about this one, man. This was one of those things that after VAR reviews it, the outcome would be that it wasn't a clear and obvious error, or in the words of the commentator, the referee was right enough about the call. But man, that was an unlucky red. But still, 0-0 away to Atletico is not a bad result, taking into consideration the disallowed goal from the faintest of handballs and the harsh red. I mean, right to feel aggrieved if you're a Porto supporter. I know I would be. That said, I mean, This could have and should have been a red, Zaidu on Koke, but it wasn't. You simply cannot put your studs, you can't rake your studs down the leg starting from the knee of your opponent. That really should have been a red card. But anyways, okay, back to being a biased Benfiquista, as the Sporto supporters love to remind me in the comments. Even when I compliment them or give them credit or say that something was unfair. Speaking of Sporto, or just Sporting in this sense, they were absolutely baptized in their own home by the great Erik ten Hag, Sebastian Haller, and Ajax, destroyed even, losing 5-1 in their return to the Champions League. The goals came quick and they came early as Ajax exposed Sporting's weak defense, a defense that, to be fair, looks completely different with Sebastian Coates at the heart of it. But it's hard to say if he would have been able to close the gap enough in this one. Haller scored his first UCL goal on his Champions League debut in the 2nd minute, his 2nd goal in the 9th, and only after 33 minutes did Sporting respond themselves. But the half ended 3-1 for the visiting Ajax, a clinical visiting Ajax that were cutting Sporting open way too easily at times. Not great stuff from Mr. Ruben Amorim. Sporting thought they had brought it back to 3-2, which would have given them hope, but the goal was called back, and Sebastian Haller added 2 more goals to his tally of 4 on the night. Not bad for your UCL debut, is it? He's one of 2 players to score 4 on their debut, the other being Marco van Basten. That's not a bad name to be associated with. Borussia Dortmund got things kicked off in this group away to Besiktas. Despite the Turkish hosts swarming around Dortmund's struggling defense in the first 10 to 15 minutes or so, they couldn't find a finish. Kyle Larin came close, Batshuayi came close as well, but if you don't finish your chances, Dortmund have the players that can kill you going in the other direction. And with Bellingham in the form he was in Turkey, wow. He was excellent. First, the well-taken goal from a Meunier ball into the box, and then setting up Haaland for the second. Haaland has now scored 21 goals in 18 Champions League matches, which is just a ridiculous record. 21 goals in 18 matches, that's crazy. 2-0 win for Dortmund, great result for them. No complaints there, I'm sure. Sheriff! They've only gone and done it. De Zerbi and defending don't often go hand in hand, and thus far in Group D, that rings true for Shakhtar. Take nothing away from the goals that Sheriff converted, however, as they were well taken. And my God, you gotta love the story around them, eh? First Moldovan side to ever qualify, then they go and score twice to get a 2-0 win at home against Shakhtar, and they are top of the group as well. Not that we'll be looking at standings because there's no point just yet. Match day 2. We'll start looking at standings. But still, Sheriff, top of the table. Cristiano was fantastic for Sheriff, assisting twice. First in the 16th minute when Adama Traore, not that Adama Traore, he scored their first goal. And then in the second half, Cristiano set up Momo Yansane to double the lead. Historic stuff. So good to see this kind of thing. And even if they don't win another match in this group, which they may do it, they'll always have September 15th, 2021. And finally, we had Inter versus Real Madrid in a match that Inter Milan truly should have won. A quick glance at XG will tell you that they accumulated an expected goals of 2.36, Real Madrid 0.99. Safe to say Inter were wasteful, and off the top of my head, I can think of 2 incredible chances that were hit directly at Thibaut Courtois, one from Lautaro's header and the other from Dzeko. That said, as far as control of the match, Real started well before Inter started torching them down that right flank where Darmian was having a field day against David Alaba. Credit to Ancelotti for moving Alaba into the center back position in the second half and putting Nacho on the flank. On top of that, Real got themselves on the front foot more and really took the game to Inter in that second half, even if genuine chances were a little bit hard to come by. It was a tale of 2 halves, for sure. Further credit to Carlo Ancelotti for his substitutions that were quite late, it felt like. He brought on Camavinga and Rodrigo, and it would be the 2 youngsters that would link up for what would be the game-winning goal. Very well worked. Chipped ball into Camavinga, who touched it inside to Rodrigo first time, and the dude made no mistake. Also, he scored 6 career Champions League goals from 8 shots on target, which is madness. Real Madrid get the win away to Inter, 1-0. Great start for them. Great start for Camavinga as well. 2 matches, 1 assist, 1 goal. Not bad. Both from substitute appearances also. Wardrobe change. Filming at a different time, of course. Going full kit wanker here. Benfica and Dinamo played out a bit of a stinker in Kiev. A match in which the keepers were the stars, basically, in which defenders bailed out their sides time and time again. And thankfully, in Benfica's case, VAR exists to save them from what would have been an embarrassing defeat right at the death. 0-0. Vlachodimos with some great saves for Benfica, Yaremchuk denied by a brilliant save at the other end. I mean, Dinamo wasn't in this until the final 5-10 minutes, and they nearly won it with a flurry of chances. Happy to get a point, but that was a really tough watch. Speaking of, it would have been an even tougher watch for Barcelona supporters as they welcomed Bayern Munich to the Camp Nou, and they were completely overrun by a strong Bayern side. I think the difference in the two is illustrated by the fact that this was the least surprising result of the night. Well, we'll get to United soon. But this was definitely not a surprise to see Bayern win 3-0. What illustrates this further is just looking at the substitutions made by the respective teams. Bayern brought on Luka Hernandez, Gnabry, Marcel Sabitzer, Kingsley Coman, and Josip Stanisic, who to his credit has been good this season. Barcelona subs, Gavi, Demir, Mingueza, Coutinho, and Balde. And unfortunately, Barca supporters will just have to take it on the chin for the moment and get used to this transitional period, just as Piqué has, as he said, quote, "In the end, I don't know how many kids we had on. It is what it is. We are what we are." That's a man resigned to his club's fate, playing for a club that failed to register a single shot on target in the Champions League for the first time since Opta began keeping track of match data in the Champions League. United went to play on the plastic pitch that young boys call home, Wankdorf Stadium, and the reason as to why I mention that it's a turf pitch is that it would play a bit of a role, if only slightly, later on. But before we could get to that, Ronaldo scored once again for United. A perfectly measured ball across the box from Bruno found an unmarked Ronaldo at the back post, and he managed to squeeze it past Von Balmus. 3 goals in 2 appearances for him so far. Then the pitch came into play ever so slightly. Aaron Wan-Bissaka is known for how good he is in the tackle, not necessarily for his touch or his output going forward, and it was this touch that let him down, allowing the ball to get away from him, and in lunging for it, put his studs on Christopher Martin Pereira's ankles. Easy red, as your studs have no business being there, and he knew it. No arguments from him. Pereira was fine, thankfully, and Sancho was the very unlucky winner of the who gets subbed red card lottery. This was a typical sort of event that you see all the time on plastic pitches. The ball does get away from you, so your touch has to be extra good. A man down, yes, but with the quality of players that United have versus those of their opponents, I expected United's game management to be a bit better, and they allowed young boys to come back into the game via Ngamaliu in the 66th minute. Young boys dominant in the second half, United seemingly resigning to just sitting back and hanging on to a single point once they conceded, and of course they paid for it when Jesse Lingard basically played a perfectly weighted through ball to Jordan Sibachu or Pefok to win the match. You can't blame the coach for an error like that from one of your players, but the substitutions and the overall game management was terrible in the second half, especially when you compare it to how, for example, Tuchel managed Chelsea against Liverpool with a man down. United squad with the right game plan should never be losing to young boys. 2 shots on target throughout the game, none following the 25th minute. Shocking stuff. Still 5 matches to go in this group for them. I fully expect United to make it out of this group still, or at the least they should, right? But my oh my, is Ollie's record in Europe worrying at this point. 11 matches, 7 losses. But again, he should be able to get out of this group, right? He's been backed by the board. He has a talented squad. No more excuses for him. Atalanta visited Villarreal in the other match in Group F, an extremely even match at that. Neither team has got up and running domestically just yet, but Atalanta got the scoring going after just 6 minutes with some great hold-up play from Duvan Zapata before dishing to Freuler for 1-0. But mistakes at the back are always a possibility, and they nearly conceded a couple of times to close out the half with Moreno coming close. Musso making great saves, and Trigueros finally equalizing from a well-worked goal. While Zapata nearly put the visitors ahead with a flicked header off of the bar, Villarreal grabbed another goal from another mistake at the back from Atalanta, leading to Danjuma putting them ahead. Atalanta did level via Robin Gosens with a goal that came against the run of play, massively against the run of play. Villarreal were dominant, and 2-2 was the final there. Insane match between Sevilla and FC Salzburg to get things started in Group G, a great group to take in, by the way. If you caught my preview, you'll know that I'm very excited about this one, given how even the teams are. And the group opener, as mentioned, was a bit insane. Sevilla hosting Salzburg, and the visiting side was awarded 3 penalties in the first 37 minutes and only managed to convert 1 of them. 4 minutes after Luka Sukic hit the woodwork with his penalty, Ivan Rakitic converted a penalty for Sevilla to make it 1-1. 4 penalties, 4 of them, in the opening 41 minutes. You want more drama? How about 5 minutes into the second half, Youssef and the City getting his second yellow card, this time for simulation. Yes, sir. From then on, Salzburg really took control of the game, but weren't able to take the lead away to Sevilla. A couple of glaring misses as well, as Salzburg had been wasteful all evening, unfortunately for them. And Jaisel, their manager. 1-1 the final there, very even. Lille and Wolfsburg played out a 0-0 draw in France as Les Dogs were dominant in this one. Wolfsburg with 2 attempts, none on target. Lille actually had a goal from Jonathan David called back, and what they thought was a penalty right at the death called back as well, and just given as a free kick. So a very, very frustrating match for them. 2 draws in this very even group. What else would you expect? And finally, in Group H, we saw Juventus get their first win of the season after 4 competitive matches, as they went away to Malmö to take on the Swedish champs and looked extremely comfortable in doing so, as one would expect of Juventus and the sort of gulf in talent between the two sides. It took 23 minutes for Juve to get the opener as Alexandro guided a header past Diawara in goal. That was Sandro's first ever goal in the Champions League, in continental competitions in general, after 77 appearances. And he nearly got a second just 5 minutes later, a shot just pulling wide of the post. To close out the half, Morata won a penalty that Dybala snuck under the keeper's legs as Dybala slipped while taking it, so not as clean as he would have liked. And just 1 minute after that, Szczesny hoofed the ball forward, and a mistake from the Malmö defenders gave an opportunity to finish well, and Morata did so. 3-0 there. No goals to speak of in the second half, but Juve definitely could have had more. That attack, that one moment in the 60th minute where Dybala flicked the ball over to Morata first time from that Cuadrado pass. Ooh, 3-0 Juve. Good start for them. Can't ask for more than that. And Chelsea, they had a difficult match up against Zenit at Stamford Bridge. The visitors were resolute in defense, that's for sure. And they did well to limit Chelsea in the first and probably could have stolen a goal in the second, if not for a wild miss from Artem Dzyuba from about 4 yards out. To be fair, I think that Mendy did have it covered, but still, it didn't look good from Dzyuba. Ultimately, the class of Chelsea came through via Romelu Lukaku. Who else? The Lukaku and Azpilicueta link-up is starting to click in, starting to take shape. That's 2 assists from Azpilicueta to Lukaku in 2 matches now. And that's part of his game that I think is massively underrated. He was regularly setting up Morata back when Morata was converting headers at a more frequent rate for Chelsea. And he's starting to do the same for Lukaku. 4 goals in 4 from the Belgian now. Also, the hold-up play from Lukaku was quite good in that second half. 1 goal was all that they needed in the end. A good start for them. And that's all. That's it from the first match day. There were certainly some fun matches mixed in there with the very, very drab ones, but that's the name of the game, man. Thanks once again for joining me, guys. I appreciate you taking the time with me, and let's do this again soon. My name's Adrian. This is Rabona TV, and we hope to see you in the next video. Ciao.